thank you for coming on my show, Mr. Mars. Can you let everybody know about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm a filmmaker, originally from Toronto, a dual citizen, American, Canadian. I live in Los Angeles. I was in New York for 10 years. I've made 5 feature films. I run something called the Hellawood movement, where it's underground filmmakers in Los Angeles that make films by any means necessary. And I've invented a genre for a film called Rocktopia. I've been a judge for film festivals. I've been living in that film festival circuit pretty much since my first feature film, and that came out in 2013, and I've been doing it nonstop. And film is pretty much my life. I work with my wife a lot, Deborah Hayden, who is also she acts in my film. She does her VFX, she sings, and we have a record label together for vinyl music called World Domination Records, and my company's World Domination Pictures. So.
Wow, we have a lot of background. Um, let's talk about what made you move from New York to Los Angeles.
Honestly, I was in another marriage, and that was something my ex-wife wanted to do, was live in Los Angeles. And at the time I was pursuing music and DJing, and that was what I did for a long part of my life. Although I did work in film in Toronto since the early '90s, kind of as a day job, but my film dream from film school at York University kind of faded, and it became a music thing. And once I came out to LA and I was looking for a job and I got kind of bored, I just started editing together all this footage I shot in New York for 6 years of a documentary about the Sex and the City stylist Patricia Field and her entourage called the House of Field, which I'm a member of as well because I worked at that store. And that became my first feature film. And then I got the bug of saying, hey, this was my dream a long time ago, and I'm in the right city for it. I gotta admit, like Los Angeles, it seems like there's a lot of talent out here, and there's a lot of access to people with equipment. I think it really lacks ideas because it's a copycat town where everybody just copies each other. I find it easy to work with people because I have a lot of original ideas, and that's the only reason why I'm in this in the first place. Is I want to be able to tell stories that haven't been told. I have my own scripts for my films. There's been 2 features that I've adapted plays from. My last feature film was Stars, that was adapted from a play by Doron Bronstein. And this new film I'm doing is my first horror film, and it's a 5-story horror anthology where I wrote 4 of the stories, and one of the stories, the longest story, was a play called Climbing Vegetables that I adapted from a playwright named ARS Gallery. Finally said his name right. um, and yeah, so that's basically, I've been in LA for 13 years. When I was telling you that, I was like, wow, I've been here longer than New York, but I think I've concentrated so much on
Hmm.
making movies that I haven't had much of a social life. Because of it, I could be literally living in Alaska here. I think I've seen the ocean maybe like 4 times in 13 years. And I
Wow.
want and I once lived a 20-minute, I once worked a 20-minute walk from it, but I've concentrated on everything
Hmm.
on like making films right now. And when I do one film, it usually takes entire 2 years of my time because I'm the editor, the writer,
Hmm.
director, first assistant director, location manager, caster, everything. And as we're talking right now, my fifth feature film, Rufus, I'm still working with the sound mixer, the dialogue
Right.
editor, on perfecting our sound before it goes to surround sound mix for the DCPs and movie theaters. So I'm always on top of it right from the beginning to the end, and it's fun. It's kind of like, people might say, hey, how can you make so many films? And I do it on a budget because the truth is I'm doing most of it. I'm doing most of
Hmm.
the jobs. So it'd be like when you meet somebody like some greaser, that works on a old hot rod, and you go, wow, that looks like a $80,000 car, but you probably cost you $2,000 to buy, but you've
Hmm.
probably spent maybe 5 years of your life working on it every day. So if you add up the hours of working, it would be like an $80,000 car. And that's kind of how my films are, because
Mhm.
I'll work the entire time. Like, people go home and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I haven't stopped working on this since we stopped in January. There hasn't been a day where I'm not spending all my time working on this somehow. So that's how I'm able to do it. It's a love-hate relationship. Sometimes I get mad that, oh, I'm doing too much. But it's like, at this point in my life, like, what else am I going to do? This is what I do. I think
Right,
this is what
right.
I do best. So
Well, I totally agree with you. We love what we're doing, right? For me as a talk show host, I love what I'm doing. You love making films. But it all comes down to, and I don't know if you agree, it all comes down, we're telling people's stories. We're making films to tell people's stories. And when you watch documentaries, when you watch films and TV shows and about real life families, and they get interviewed and they're like, "Wow, this is me. This is my life story. This is my story." And and for you as being a film director, I mean, producer and etc., you're telling the world their stories. You're telling people's stories, and that gives me chills because when you have real life situation, different. It's not the real person on the set, but different. That character's name, and that's the real person's name, and you find out based on a true story, and the family members get so tearful and thankful because film directors like you have so much passion and so much happiness, and you just we'd want to get that story out there to tell folks about what happened in their life, and that's, to me, it's very moving for any film directors and producers, especially you and everyone else I'm talking to, that it's amazing me that they're telling stories and real life stories and not real life stories, but making stories, making films, and that's how we get entertained first of all, but we're also, like I said, you know telling stories, and I'm just amazed. So,
yeah,
thank you for telling that story.
thank you. One of the things that, I'm proud of is I've worked with a lot of over 500 actors at this point. I do all my own casting. And, when I wasn't in film, I worked at this store called Patricia Field in New York, where I just met a lot of interesting people over 10 years. And, I was able to pull these people and put them in my films. And out of my 5 films, and I don't mean to sound like a downer, I think I've had about 20 of my cast die in the last 10 years. And some of these people, this was the last thing that they ever did, was be in my films. And it was I see that as it was a fun time for us when we did the film. And I always put the people in some kind of positive light, or something funny, or
Mhm.
something that they liked. And I get to see my friends in my films, and I get to see that aren't around, and I also get to, like, say that that was a fun moment for all of us, and that's something that's great. And to go with what you're saying, like, I believe in. I'm one of the filmmakers that I'm like, if I am going to do something about a subject, a person, I guess, like my documentary, the Little House That Could, my first film, I'm gonna try to put it in a good light. I'm not a Michael Moore where I'm gonna put people in a bad light. I feel like that's really easy to do. It's like, there's comedians out there, and 80% of them, maybe more, maybe 90%. I feel like, because of their lack of material or originality
Mhm.
or confidence, they just attack people. And it's like, it's a lot harder to be somebody that, is going to maybe attack themselves in a funny way, or find some comedy that's not going to be hurting people. Now, people say I make offensive comedies, and I'm sometimes, like Scumbag. To be honest, I just told the truth. That was like, everything in that movie happened in my life at the time, and I just said it exactly how it was, and let people decide, is that offensive or is whatever. But I wasn't trying to put anybody in a bad light. That was just exactly how it was. But I wasn't trying to say one way or the other. But, like, the big thing I'd like to do eventually is do a biopic film on somebody, really famous. I have a lot of ideas on people I want to do. Unfortunately, a lot of those ideas, they're quickly, like, getting taken. I don't want to say what they are in case those taken ideas don't happen and I can make them. But I feel like, you really have like the people aren't around anymore. So do you want to put somebody that's not around in a bad light? You know, no, I want to put them in a better light, you know?
Hmm.
And you know, a good example would be the Richard Nixon movie, you know? He was in such a bad light for so long. You see that movie, and it's like, hey, there was some good things about this person too. They were smart, you know? Um, and I feel like as a filmmaker, I owe it to the person. If I'm gonna get the
Hmm.
okay to do something on somebody that's not around, why do I want to villainize somebody that's not around anymore? You
Right,
know,
right.
I'm not looking to make a young Hitler in high school movie. Like what would be the point of that? You know, but you know, that so I feel like it's one of those moments where it's like, all right, if you are going to do something about somebody from the past, you really owe it to the family and everybody that's in that
Mm.
person's life to do your best with it and cast the
Right,
right
right.
people and really put your all into it, because you're taking somebody's life and you got a chance to keep their legacy running or not, you know? And so it's important. And yeah, like you said, if you can make the family tear up and see them see something that they want, to me, that's a good film.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. I totally agree with you. All that chemistry and the love and, make good positive things for, someone's family. Um, one thing a lot of people are probably curious, for yourself as your independent film director, is it hard for up I'm asking this question. The reason why I'm asking this is because there's a lot of young actors in across the United States, especially around the world, um, but who are young, who are just graduating high school, and they're thinking, I don't need to go to college to be a director. I want to be my own independent film director. I want to be, they may be looking up to you or looking up to other directors. What is your advice for a lot of young actors, upcoming, not actors, but I mean upcoming producers and directors who want to be independent filmmakers like you?
So the two things I definitely say that you need to do, and I lucked out with this for me, is you need to get a DP, a director of cinematography, a director of photography, sorry, that is on your side, that knows everything to do, can lighten everything. For me, that's Cody Stauffer. Before that, it was Toma. And what you need somebody that's, you know, going to work with you. They're going to see, I want to work with you because I like you or I like your ideas. I know you don't know everything. What you don't know, let me handle this with the people. And don't be this super bossy person that's a
Right,
jerk,
right.
because the real veteran crews are going to see through that and go, why am I working with this amateur that's yelling at me?
Hmm.
You got to give people their leeway to do what they do.
Right.
I have this thing with cinematographers where I'm like, why am I going to make a storyboard and tell you how to hold your camera? You're the expert. You know how to do this. But this is what I want. So can you make it like this? Let's have some meetings of what I want, and I'm going to show you images and stuff. This is kind of what I want, and make it
Right.
happen so I don't have to think about that. If you're an actor, you're going to be good at working with actors when you're a director, which is a
Hmm.
good thing, because there's a lot of directors that have no idea about acting, and you can see it in these big budget films where the acting's not that good or the scripts are awful because they have no care about the script whatsoever. And you're going to be able to work with that. And you know, if you're an actor, you know about rehearsing with actors. So you're going to rehearse and you're going to get the actors up to speed. You need a DP that's going to be able to work with people, and you should get a crew member that maybe is a grip or a first AD, a first assistant director, that's also going to work with you, not rip you off. Because if you get with the wrong person, they're just going to take you for all your money, and you're going to have a
Hmm.
horrible experience and never do it again. And get out there and have take start making the mental notes of what these people are
Hmm.
doing, because I did that. I don't need as many people today because I've made mental notes of what everybody was doing that I didn't know how to do. And I also think, don't overspend. You know, bottom line is, your first film, I don't care who you are or who you're related to or whatnot. Even if you had a famous person, you're going to lose money. You're going to probably lose all the money. So don't fool yourself and think the more you spend, the more of a success it's going to be, or that you have to work with a union, you know? I honestly, I'm not saying I'm for or against, but I wouldn't recommend it on your first film. It's going to cost you 10 times more than what it would
Mhm,
cost you to learn. And if you're saying you're going to skip film school and just start making films, do a non-union film and get non-union actors, or whatever, whatever the situation is for you. Um, that's just my 2 cents, because the key is I'm still in this because it didn't cost me too much. I
right.
think I think
Mhm,
I budgeted ways and found ways around the costs so that I could make 5 films for the price of somebody's first film. And all those people that did that first film that cost me as much as my 5 films, none of them are making films anymore. And I'm
mhm,
sure their families probably aren't talking to them anymore either after mortgaging their parents' house and stuff to do this. That's one that would be my advice. Get out,
mhm,
and because the bottom line is just get out there and do it. Don't be one of these people that think you've got a plan for 3 years to make your film, because if you're doing that, everybody's going to walk. It's never going to happen. You're going to be that person that's 80% of LA where these people have these projects that never happen. You know,
mhm,
it's your first film, try to do an indie fundraising thing, and that if you need to, you get away with doing that once. It's getting harder to do because people are getting sick of that stuff, but you can do it once and you'll build your email list. Don't do it more than that. Um, and you gotta you find out where to get deals on renting gear. Try to get crew with
mhm,
gear. If you can't, all you got to do is look at independent film festivals that aren't Sundance, that aren't Venice, that aren't Cannes, and see what companies sponsor those film festivals. If they're equipment companies, it means they work on discounted rates with filmmakers, that are indie. And because that's what you are. You're an indie filmmaker if you're starting out. And where people make their mistake all the time is they think they got to be Hollywood actors. What does that mean? They think they got to be Hollywood filmmakers. So what that means is they have a director's chair. I've never had a director's chair on any of my movies. I need the crew to see that I'm working with the PAs and doing
mhm.
everything so that they work with me. The
Right,
second you
right,
have a director's chair and you got your special food and you got your little area that's away from everybody, all of a sudden you're fronting that you're a Hollywood production. And if you're going to front that you're a Hollywood production, all the crew is going to want to get paid like Hollywood production, if this is your deal, you
right.
know? But the more honest I've been, the more I've said I don't know what I'm doing, the more people are willing to help me. And the ones that aren't, that talk down to you, cut them out. You don't need to work with people like that. If they're so hot, why aren't they working on the big films? Why do they have time to talk to you? Because the people I know that are that hot, they don't have time to talk to me. Even if they wanted to, they're too busy working on big
Mhm,
movies all the time and they're burnt out. So yeah, that's my advice for that. But the key is to just have the stamina to keep going. I'm on my
right,
fifth.
right.
If I knew if it was gonna take me to my fifth film for something to maybe happen, I don't know if I would have been in this game. I thought it was all gonna happen on that first one, but this is the truth. All the people I know where things start to happen for them, it's
Right,
about
right.
their fifth film. This is about their fifth film.
Mhm,
Unless they were working in the industry forever and had all the hookups on that first film, and they had the A-list actors, and they had the connection with the Netflix distributor and all that before they started. Unless you have that, um yeah, get ready to it's a slow
right.
haul.
That's a really good advice. I 100% appreciate the advice, and I know a lot of young I mean, I say actors, but directors and producers out there will really, you know, admire your 2 cents. Um, but one thing about LA and New York is that do you miss I know you said you miss New York, if I remember correctly. Do you Would you ever go back to New York, or do you like just staying in LA?
So I've thought about this a lot. Somebody said if you want to be famous somewhere, you can't live there. All my screenings in New York sell out all the time. Like if I do a screening there, it sells out. In fact, I'm going to say this right now. You're the first place we're going to hear this. My third feature film, and I'm on my fifth feature film. My third feature film was Mr. Sister.
Mhm.
It just got select. It came out in 2021 as the closing film for Dance with Films here at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. It just got selected by Planet Nine Film Festival, playing at Hart Bar in Bushwick, Brooklyn on October the 1st. So it's still playing because you know, people know that if my films play in New York, people come out to the films in New York. So I get that because I'm out here. But when I do screenings in LA, not so much. You know, it's a far call from it. I'm not saying they're dead, but it's not like there's no lineup around the block. And so I get that. I
Hmm.
love New York, and I feel like by living in LA, somehow it's a little easier going. That the
Hmm.
hustle, I'm not burnt out. That I can do
Hmm.
films.
Hmm.
When I lived in New York, it is really hard to do film. Like that film that took me 6 years to shoot. If I was in LA, that would have taken me 2 weeks to shoot. You know, and it was just kind of like the hustle and bustle. You just get burnt out. It's
Hmm.
really exciting in the first 2 years. And then you become like a New Yorker where you're just mad and miserable and overtired and on 3 Red Bulls and living off those coffee truck drinks and trying to falling asleep on the subways and stuff. I don't miss that, you know? And I
Yeah,
don't want to put my
you're not the only
wife
one.
through that, but I miss the people a lot. And that's why I always shoot something in New York, like this new film Rufus. We every film of mine has been shot in New York at some point. Scumbag was shot in New York and LA. Rufus, the new film, is shot in mainly LA and a little bit in New York, maybe 1/3 in New York. So I always do something there, but I do miss it. I think if I was really wealthy, I'd love to have a place there and go back and forth all the time. But I find myself usually back once a year, you know? And it's weird because I'm from Toronto, but somehow I miss New York more. I've built up more friends over, like, you know, it's been
Mhm.
a long time since New York, since Toronto, but I have friends in Toronto, obviously, and do screenings there, and it's pretty good. But the film industry doesn't really help me in Toronto. It's
Hmm.
always worked against me. They do not get me. I'll be like, hey, I was the only Canadian that represented a film at Rotterdam, one of the biggest film festivals in the world this year. I just represented, I was the only person at Zanzibar International Film Festival, the biggest film festival in East Africa. And like, I never get the love from the grant companies and the industry or the film
Hmm.
festivals in Toronto. And it's almost, I think they got this, the industry is like mad at me that I'm not there. Like they think they're on top of the world. And I'm like, you're not, you know, you think you are in film, but you're not, you know? So it's frustrating, you know? I feel like I'm on Alanis Morissette as a filmmaker. I had to come to LA to do it, or Neil Young or something like
Right,
that.
right, right.
Or Justin Bieber or Drake. It's like the industry in Canada wasn't helping them. So that's kind of how I feel as a filmmaker. You know, I just got a
Mhm.
Lifetime Achievement Award at LA Punk Film Festival last year. And it's like, wow, I can't get a single grant in Toronto, but I love the people there. And I did learn from there when I worked in the industry in the 90s. But other than that, like other than my friends and the fans that come out to my screenings there, yeah, I've tried to make a bridge between LA, New York, and Toronto where I could be bringing them business,
Mhm.
but they just don't want my business. So it's like, all right, well, I'm not
Wow.
going to make a film about it, you know?
Mhm.
So
You know, part of, question I have to ask is why why is there not a line around the corner in LA?
LA is weird, you know? I don't know what it is, you know? Let me put it this way. Uh, without insulting everybody, you know, because I don't want to do that. But when I first moved here, I met this girl that played in a band, and she played in bands for a while. And she said, you got to get used to this in LA. If you do a show and you're a band, people stand in the audience staring at you, hoping that you suck. And these are supposed to be your friends. This is how the LA audience is. And I'm like,
Interesting.
wow. I think because everybody here is trying to make it. So if you're actually making it, they don't like you. It's really weird. So um who will I see?
Really?
The cast and their friends, but it's a different mentality, you know, it's a different mentality. Whereas New York making films is kind of exotic because other than me, who do you have? You had like Jim Jarmusch a decade before, and Nick Zed, who was in my films, is not alive today. God rest his soul. And you had Jonas Mikos, you know. But there's not a lot of people doing this, you know, and it's because the rents are so high, and there's not a room for anybody doing independent film as like they're living there, and it becomes a
Mhm.
big expense. So I do meet people in the LGBT scene that try to make films on a regular basis, but as far as indie filmmakers, I don't know who was the last one before me. Uh, Harmony Korine, who lives in Nashville now. Like, there's not a lot, So I just try to keep that torch going, and after me, there'll be somebody else, But there you can't go on a street corner and turn around and go, "Hey, I remember a movie where this was done," or whatever. And the truth is too, I'm able to do what I do because I shoot there. I can't do that out here. I'll get arrested. You don't really need permits in New York to film anywhere. It's pretty much open. It's right on their site. In
Interesting.
LA, I think you need $2,000 to just film on a street corner if you want to legally do it. There it's like right on their side, as long as you got only one tripod. And today you got so many that you can break the rules because people have used battery powered lights. So it's like, hey, you can have one light, or they can't be on a tripod. All right, well, hold the light then. It's run by a battery, and you hold the light, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden the rules kind of change. So and I've been in New York when the police actually helped me block traffic when I was shooting illegally, because they don't care. They think it's cool. So, but again, if you want to play big shot anywhere, and say go up to the try to get a permit to shoot on the subway. Last time I checked, it was 200 grand a year, 200 grand a day to shoot on the subway.
Wow.
You could use a fake subway set for $70,000 a day. Like, they know they're dealing with big companies like Paramount or whatever. But if you're going to try to front that, that's what you're going to pay. Or will people turn their back and not care? Most likely, yes. There,
That's
not so much in LA.
that's very interesting that you mentioned that New York loves filmmakers. And what's interesting that you said about LA, I love LA, 100%. So Los Angeles, I love Los Angeles. I love the people in LA. But you know, you taught me some interesting things about Los Angeles. So that's very, very interesting. I did not know that the New York police will block traffic for you to.
It was pretty laid back. I thought, oh my God, I'm shooting on a subway. I'm definitely going to get busted. The police just got on, walked right by me. They don't care. They were dealing with real crime until all the riots and stuff happened. Now it's a little bit crazy. They're not even
Right,
existing
right.
there. But yeah, because they're not existing there, I don't think a police officer is going to tackle you when you're making a
Hmm.
film. But if I shot something where somebody was running down West Hollywood, there's a chance you might get shot or tackled by a police officer if they don't know. I've heard about that stuff out here. So, because it's big money, and also,
Hmm.
like, a lot of the industry is moving away because of all the rules. So there's people that are bitter about that. Let's not allow this. So it's just how it is,
So, if you mind me asking, um, not talk bad about Los Angeles. Everybody loves
Yeah,
Los Angeles,
I have
but
friends out
I'm not. I
here
know.
out here.
I'm saying that because I don't want my audience to come attack
Yeah,
me.
I'm not putting
So,
down. I
no,
think
no, no.
people
You're okay.
understand.
So my question for you is, why is Los Angeles doing that? Is just because there's just too much traffic, or I'm just curious. Maybe.
I could try to act like I'm an authority on it, but you could Google it, and a million things and interviews and things are going to come up every day on it, that everything's leaving here right now. I feel like this is the home of movies. So eventually a government will change, and they'll be like, all right, we are the home of movies and we need everything back. So we're gonna change it so that everybody has to come back. I could see that happening. It might be five years from now, but I'm pretty sure that will happen because there's too much business leaving right now. It's going to Las Vegas or Atlanta. Like, that seems to be the
Arizona,
thing.
Phoenix.
Okay, and
Part,
a little bit in New York, but not as much.
I heard.
Try
Pardon me. I heard
Nero
that
opened up a studio there.
they're going to Albuquerque, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. And but you're right. I did hear. You know, I remember when I was little. Um, you always hear on TV commercials, if you want to be an actor, producer, go to LA, right? That's the place to be. And I did not know that it's slowly leaving LA. And it doesn't to me doesn't seem like it until I hear from someone like you, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's weird to me because so it's there's an inspiring thing though that I don't get in those other towns. I'll be walking down the street and see the Hollywood sign and go, okay, I'm here. I should be making film. This is a film place. Do it, you know? And so that inspires me. I don't know if I get that in other places. I get sidetracked with other jobs, and everybody you meet's not going to be talking about film. Everybody you meet here works in film or talks about film or wants to do film or had, and I dream to do film at some point or another. Like I'm not joking that I could probably walk within uh 5 minutes of wherever I am, or no,
Mhm.
within the same block, and be able to pull enough people to make a movie with the talent and the equipment and everything else, because everybody here, that's their deal, you know? And yeah, so that's I definitely feel inspired being here to do that. Like I feel like, okay, it's my mission. I'm here, you know? Um and it's, you can have conversations with anybody about movies and making movies and stuff, and it's not considered weird or whatever. But you talk to in other towns and might just look at you kind of like, what? Like that. But here it's like pretty standard, and also because of that, the bar is a lot higher in LA than New York. For I'd say in music and film, they expect you to be on a certain professional level for everything here.
Mhm.
They lack in ideas, but on a technical skill, there is no room for excuse here. Like everything has to be perfect. Whether if you're playing in a band, you have to know how your amp sounds perfect and how you play the song perfect. There's no room for mistakes, for anything. And it takes a minute to get into that, so I do feel like the people here can be better than the people everywhere else for film on that professional level, on the quality. um and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's the bad thing is, what if you want to just say, "Well, F this, I want to just do it whatever way." And I push that envelope sometime, and they'll be like, "Is that a mistake? Is that how are you able to do that?" And it's like they won't understand it, but Europe will understand it. That's my film festival audience too, like Sweden and Rotterdam, and those are places that like get me. Germany,
Mhm.
um, that I found in the past, and like they'll like that twist. And it's like, French New Wave didn't come out of LA, Gaspar No didn't come out of LA. Like that he couldn't. That would be the way he films. And like, to me, like, if you want to rate artistic quality, and to me, what would be the best films, you look at Cannes as the festival that's like, we don't care if you're Hollywood or you're shooting in
Right.
your basement. We're judging this on what's the best film, what's the most original, what's the more. And I'm really happy about that, because they got tried to certain big companies were trying to strong arm them to do this, and we're like, we're not Hollywood. We don't care. We're picking the best films we can,
Mhm.
and they've always stayed true to that. And I'm glad that they're around, because the Oscars and stuff, to a degree, I think is rigged, and all these awards in Hollywood and stuff. A lot of it's kind of rigged. It's on money, it's on popularity, and that. But people pay for that popularity, whereas other places, a lot of these European film festivals that are for independent filmmakers are like, we want just the best stuff, so come out and see, and so that's inspiring to me. So yeah, sorry, I went on a rant there.
No, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for telling the audience your 2 cents about what you think is happening in the LA area. But it's intriguing and it's interesting to hear every director's every 2 cents about making films, what's happening in New York or LA and all that stuff. So thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate that. So
So,
um, you know, a little bit about yourself. Um, do you what do you do for fun when you're not directing? I'm pretty sure a lot of people may be curious.
Yeah, no, it's weird. So I spent so many years as a DJ, and during the pandemic, I really missed it. So I started collecting vinyl again, starting a record label and DJing a Twitch show, and that was what I was doing for fun. But I wasn't committed enough to go out in LA and DJ anywhere. I did a lot of that in New York, and I kind of got to a plateau where it's like anything more is just going downhill. I felt like when I DJed with Junior Vasquez at one of the biggest clubs and stuff, I
Hmm.
can only go kind of downhill from there. And that's kind of what I saw, unless I was going to be fully committed and just keep putting
Right,
out
right.
music and make that my life. But it's not my life anymore. So what do I do for fun? It's kind of weird. So my film is my life. Like film is my fun. So when I'm not working on my current film, I just keep writing scripts. Like I got kind of crazy. Like during the pandemic, I must have written about 6 feature film scripts
Hmm.
all ready to go. I have a lot more. So yeah, I that's my it's my life and my fun. And I'll tell you, music was my life and my fun, but it became such a business mentality for me over time and a stressful thing as a
Hmm.
manager for it that I had to walk away, and I can't look at that as fun anymore. But most of my famous actors are famous musicians in my films. Like in Rufus, I have Rod Digger, the famous rapper, and I got Jim Sclavunos from Nick Cave and David J from Love and Rockets and Spooky Rubin, all these people. But because I still have, a feeling for the musicians and stuff, but it's hard for me to be around that without feeling the stress all over again. Um, but I haven't allowed film to do that for me. I've kept film a fun thing,
Right.
this whole time. And I started getting investors in that where all my money is not invested in my film, so a little bit of the stress comes off. So that's what I do. What else do I do? I wish I had some great answer for you, but film
No.
is my fun.
No.
It's like a lot of work, and then once I get to the film festivals, it's traveling to places I've never gone, meeting filmmakers, watching films, and having fun. And I look forward to that because that it's like I have fun for about 3 months of the year and the rest is work. So it's I look forward to those fun times. I don't know where I'll ever end up. I'll be in
Right.
some bar in Sweden hanging out with people where we're listening to headphones in a silent place like a library and dancing to music with headphones on, or watching movies in a shark in an Olympic pool somewhere where I could drown a million miles from my house, and thinking, well, this is kind of fun. I didn't know I'd end up here. This is crazy. Um, and you know, I like doing these interviews with people like you, Ryuichi, and it just remembering. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Wow. Well,
Right now.
first of all, I'm sorry. First of all, I appreciate it. Thank that you like doing interviews with me, or and it means a lot. I love doing interviews. I love interviewing actors and directors and producers, and it's always been my passion to interview people. And it's fun, but it's always my goal is to eventually have my own stage and have an audience. And but it's a slow progress. I'm growing, but it means a lot when someone like you who says they love coming on talk shows and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
fun because it takes me out of my work mode, and I'm like, hey, why am I doing this again? What's going on here? How was I excited? Because I can sometimes get lost on, like, I'll get so inspired to make a film and I'll do it, and then I'll forget why did I do this again? Why was I so inspired? And it's guys like you that bring it out of me. Oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Then I can get excited about going to work on the sound mix after this, or whatever, because it's like I'm remembering.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you coming on my show, Mars.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, I would love to have you back again. Um,
Anytime.
and
We're excited that our new movie is going to come out. Hopefully, Rufus. It's going to come out in. Please follow us on Instagram, Rufus_movie. RUFUS. It's going to come out maybe in Europe in November, or January we're looking at some big festivals. So that's kind of like, and New York we tend to play in February every year. We got to see right now if that's going to be the case. So yeah, you caught me at a good time, because it's like we got something new that's coming
That's
out.
why I had you, because I was researching, and I saw there was something coming out, and so that's why I said, nope, I gotta get in contact with Mr. Mars and figure out when this is coming out, let the audience know, and get the audience excited. And when it's 100% out, I want to have you back and have you talk more about it.
Thank you. I was so inspired to make this film that I lost my job a year ago,
Hmm.
and finishing this film without a job was more important to me than finding a job. Finally, I am working now, but it was like I wasn't working until I finished shooting this movie, and I shot it in a record amount of days. Like, it was very short time shooting because I planned on a budget, but it was done since March of 2023, so it was like over time. And so because of that inspiration, I really want people to see it. I think obviously, I think it's my best film. Every film you get better, and that's what I tell all the new directors. Every film you're going to get better. So hang in there, try to keep doing the best you can, and don't let anybody tell you you can't do anything. Just do it, and the less you know, the more you'll get done.
100%. And I will leave with this: is passion, passion,
Mhm.
passion, passion.
Do
Keep
it
it
for
up.
you because you feel like you need to make this. Don't do what you think is going to be a commercial success because you were told that that is what is going on. Everybody that does that, you can see through it, and it's always a failure. You got to do something from your gut, whether it has nothing to do with anything going on right now. It's almost better if you make a film with nothing to do with what's going
Right.
on right now. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your 2 cents on that as well. I appreciate it. And again, thank you, Mr. Mars, for coming on my show. And I look forward to having you back.
Hey, thank you. You can always people can follow our website, worlddomination.pictures. It's all my films. All of my films, you can go and type my name, Mars Roberge, Roberge, and it's Mars like the planet, on Tubi, and see all the four previous films. Go watch them for free, or watch them on Amazon or wherever. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And audience, please follow Mr. Mars on Instagram and on YouTube. And I will look forward to having you back and ask you more questions next time.
Hey, thanks for having me, and good luck with the show. It's a great show. Keep going.
Thank you. It really means a lot. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you very much for your support. I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.